Hi everyone, so it's said there are many advantages to being highly self-reflective. I agree, it is a blessing, but can also be a bit of a curse. It tends to burden you with the need to have a purpose in life, to lay upon random events a narrative which you, as the titular hero, has an important part. Blissful ignorance as life events batter you like a small ship in a hurricane tends not to be an option. In the challenging first couple of years in my so-called decade, I found that purpose in education. I started the MBA in 2008, finished it in 2011 and had a splendorous Harry Potter-like graduation in 2012. And when I say Harry Potter-like graduation, I'm not just presenting an illusionary writing tool with the sole purpose to conjure up imagery in your head. I mean it literally. It just lacked the wands, the owls, also the brooms. Okay, but set and costume-wise, it was on point. When I started the MBA, I didn't realise it would be the thing that saved the life of the beating heart of my self-worth. I'd considered doing one 4 years previous, but backed away from the idea. I should have done the MBA then, because I was ready for it, I was in the job that needed it the most, and of course the grand idea of that period became the Australian migration instead. Since I wasn't finding that grand purpose out of my career, I decided to find it in education. And everyone tried to talk me out of it. It will take so much time, it will cost so much money, which was true, about 11k by the end of it, and you'll never get that back. Unless you have a job with a guaranteed promotion at the end, don't touch it. It's safe to say my decision against the trend, which was frustrating. I was disappointed in everyone at the time for that message. The one person who didn't try to talk me out of doing it, my wife. She talked me into doing it. Despite the fact it would mean sacrificing holidays until it was complete, as in theory it would be the holidays not done that effectively paid for it. That would be the opportunity cost, if you will. I feel the need to point out the heroic part she plays in this narrative to counteract the risk she will be seen as the villain by its midpoint. I was someone better because of her, and in truth, life is always more complicated. Essentially, my MBA is its own journey within the larger one of my so-called decade. What you realise doing an MBA is it's not what you learn, it's the process. The process under which I did it was every 3 months you had 3 modules with 3 new subjects to master. You had to write long-form essays, and at the end you had to write 3 essays on the subject in 2 hours in exam conditions. Repeat for 3 years on that cycle every 3 months. The only way to describe it is relentless and character building. I also found it fascinating, enlightening, and to be fair, I loved it. What do you learn through this process? Well, you become one of those people, though hopefully I'm a bit more humble with it, who believes that you can do anything if they just try. I mean, that's a good thing. You'll find a way through applying your experience, research, your network and people you know to learn enough to get started. And once you start, experience builds and you'll be able to do it. That 3-year process, cycling every 3 months, teaches you that. You meet all sorts of people you'd never met before. This is certainly true if you're the provincial candidate from down the road, who has only worked for small, medium-sized businesses, albeit some of them international with bigger clients. I met people from around the world in all sorts of different jobs, in different sectors, and that was fascinating. I understand some people get that from their career and that's perfectly fine, but I wasn't. So that was brilliant. The key thing is, you also get to compare yourself to your global contemporaries, if you haven't got to do this in your career yet. And you realise you can stand up to them. Stand up and be counted. You can't put a cost on that. Well, some might say you can put a cost on that, 11k, right? But like the MasterCard advert, frickin' priceless. Not about the books you've read, the theories you now understand, though they are all a foundation that is helpful. It all builds up a mosaic that helps you get and analyse and see your way through problems. It's about how the process, a way of thinking, about how you approach challenges and the people you met have literally changed your very psychological DNA, to be blunt, in terms of how you view the world and what you can achieve. This makes you bolder, more confident and resilient, and if anything turns your investment into a return, it will be that, not the fact that you studied and passed an economics module. It gave me the challenge and the purpose and a way to self-rationalise my unemployed status during the dark times between 2009 and 2011. It also taught me I can no longer write longhand, which was quite a shock as you approach these 3 written essays in 2 hours. But I loved spending every weekend for 3 years, a number of hours studying. I didn't wish for the end of the MBA, I missed it when it was over, and in many ways it wasn't a hurdle or a chore to get to a larger goal. It was something that literally saved me psychologically, because as I say, my self-worth was spiralling down, and this was the mechanism through which I raised it back up. And yes, I continued studying during my 2 years of intermittent unemployment. I have my wife to thank for that again, as I'd have, well, you know me, I'd have fled to financial safety, put the whole MBA on hold till I had a job again, and that would have been a terrible mistake. The important point for this narrative we are journeying on together, I wasn't the same person at the end of the MBA as I was going in. I hadn't transformed into some alien being, but the combination of not realising the Australian migration was a mistake as an idea, and having gone through the rigorous MBA process, it meant I was more prepared to make better choices and not suffer the ones I could see as problematic. I became less likely to be led by the nose by forces that were steered by others. Ultimately, the MBA did pay off, as while I can't say it has got me any specific job, in truth non-MBA connections have done that, it put me in a better place to deliver on those jobs and thrive in them, especially my 3 years in contract consultancy. If you're thinking of doing one, pick up a good school and focus on the process and how it changes you. It's not the only way to get those experiences, but it is one way. The question is, what degree did these changes themselves bring about the traumatic event that occurs at the midpoint in this tale? I changed, so it undoubtedly had an impact, but it was such a positive experience I can't even contemplate questioning it. Until the next chapter, you can support me by doing a few simple things. Like the video, subscribe and hit the bell icon. Certainly post a comment, and let's continue to make small great changes to make life a story worth telling.